Chemistry lecture number 38, naming covalent compounds. Binary ionic compounds, which are made of metals and nonmetals, are named by listing the metal first, followed by the nonmetal. Nonmetal ends with "ide." For example, sodium NaCl is made of sodium, Na, and chlorine, Cl. So the name of NaCl is sodium chloride. So that's between a metal, sodium, and a nonmetal, chlorine, on this side of the chart. Covalently bonded compounds are called molecules, and molecules are made of nonmetals. Molecules made of only two types of elements are called binary molecular compounds. So molecules are covalently bonded and they're made of nonmetals. So basically it's hydrogen, which is a nonmetal, and then all these elements here in blue, and then some of these elements here in green, the metalloids, they're also occasionally involved in covalent bonding. So molecules are made of only the blue and maybe sometimes the green things. These are the metals. Metals are not involved in molecules or covalent bonding. All right, so the rules for naming binary molecular compounds are similar to the rules for binary ionic compounds. To name a binary molecular compound from its formula, give the name of the first element in the formula, put "ide" at the end of the second element in the formula, and put prefixes in front of the elements to indicate the number of each type of atom. For example, what's the name of CO2? Well, first notice that carbon and oxygen are on the right side of the periodic chart. So here's carbon and here's oxygen, so that makes them nonmetals. Carbon and oxygen are both nonmetals, so this is a binary molecular compound. So we follow the naming rules for molecular compounds and not for ionic compounds. For CO2, the first element listed is carbon and the second is oxygen. So an incomplete version of the name would be carbon oxide. And then next we put prefixes in front of the name of the elements to tell us how many atoms are in the molecule. Now since there are two oxygens, we put the prefix di in front of oxide to get dioxide. The prefix for one is mono. Does this mean we put mono in front of carbon to get monocarbon? Nope. We do not affix mono to an element if it's the first one listed in the formula. Thus, the name of a molecule with one carbon and two oxygens is carbon dioxide. The name of the molecule CO would be carbon monoxide since it's made of one carbon and one oxygen. Notice that the name is not carbon monoxide. We drop the O to make it easier to pronounce. And sometimes we drop a vowel if the name of the element starts with a vowel, but this rule is not always followed. For example, Ni3 is made of one nitrogen and three iodines. The prefix for 3 is tri, so you'd think you'd drop an I to get nitrogen triiodide, but the name is actually spelled nitrogen triiodide with two I's. Go figure. Sometimes they drop the vowel, sometimes they don't, and you just have to be aware of when they do and when they don't. Alright, you need to memorize the following prefixes. Mono means 1, di is 2, tri is 3, tetra means 4, penta means 5, hexa means 6, hepta 7, octa 8, nona 9, and deca 10. So you just need to memorize those. Alright, so let's do some for practice. What is the name of CS2? So C is carbon, S is sulfur, and it's going to end in ide, so it's going to be sulfide. And there are two sulfurs, so it will be disulfide. Carbon disulfide, so that's the name of that molecule. What is the name of CS? All right. Carbon, that's this one. S is sulfur or sulfide. One sulfur, so monosulfide. Carbon monosulfide. What is the name of N2O? All right, nitrogen and oxygen. So nitrogen, and then oxygen, so we'll call it oxide. All right, two nitrogens, one oxygen, so dinitrogen monoxide. Okay, and I guess it's not monoxide. Well, I guess, yeah, well, we're dropping an O. What is the name of SF6? S is sulfur. F is fluorine or fluoride. 6 fluorines. So hexafluoride, sulfur hexafluoride. What is the name of Cl2O8? All right, so Cl is chlorine. O is oxygen, or oxide. 2 chlorine, so it'll be called dichlorine, and then 8 is oct, so that'll be octoxide. Okay, dichlorine, dioxide, octoxide. What is the name of CCl4? Well, C is carbon. Cl is chlorine, so we'll call it chloride. 4 chlorines, so it'll be tetrachloride, carbon tetrachloride. Carbon tetrachloride used to be used to get out stains in the old days, in the 1940s, until they found out that it was cancerous, so you can't buy it anymore. What is the name of PBr3? P is phosphorus. Br is bromine or bromide. 3 bromines, so tribromide. This is a trick question. What is the name of Ba3P2? Be careful. If you think the answer is going to be tribarium diphosphide, that's wrong. And why is that the wrong name for it? Well, this is not a molecule. It's an ionic compound. Barium is right there. It's a metal. So a metal combining with a non-metal gives you an ionic compound. So you have to follow different rules. So if it's an ionic compound, it's just going to be barium phosphide. So you don't have to do any of those prefixes if it's an ionic compound. Alright, so the formulas of molecules can be written using prefixes to tell us how many of each atom there are. So we're going to write formulas given the words. What is the formula for dinitrogen tetroxide? Dinitrogen is 2, so N2, and then tetroxide, so that's 4, so that's O4. Alright. What is the formula for silicon dioxide? Silicon, 1 silicon, dioxide, 2 oxygens. What is the formula for phosphorus pentachloride? Phosphorus is P, chloride is chlorine, penta means 5, PCl5. Trick question, what is the formula for magnesium chloride? And if you think the answer is just going to be MgCl, that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Because a compound made out of magnesium, a metal, and chlorine is an ionic compound, so we have to follow the rules for ionic compounds. For ionic compounds, when you're writing the formula from the words, you have to write the oxidation numbers. Magnesium, Mg, and magnesium is in group 2 on the periodic chart, so it has a +2 charge. Chlorine, that's in group 7 right here, so that's going to be Cl, -1. You crisscross the numbers, it's MgCl2. All right, so you need to be careful. You have to figure out whether they're asking for your work or whether you're working with an ionic compound or a molecule. And there are some molecules that have commonly used names. You need to memorize the names of these molecules. O3 is ozone. That's what's in the atmosphere to protect us from ultraviolet rays. NH3 is ammonia. H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. You can get these at drugstores. It's a sterilizing agent. H2S, hydrogen sulfide. That's the stuff in rotten eggs that makes it smell really bad. And I also believe they put it in natural gas so that when there's a natural gas leak, you can smell it. So this is the stuff you smell at the natural gas leak. C6H6 is benzene, used quite a bit in chemistry and so commonly used that it's a name that you should memorize. there are some names of acids that you need to memorize. Now, these substances are acids, and when you put these in water, they become acids. Before you put them in water, though, they're actually molecular compounds, covalently bonded. Okay, HCl is hydrochloric acid. That's what you put in swimming pools to chlorinate the water. HNO3 is nitric acid. H2SO4 is sulfuric acid. H3PO4 is phosphoric acid, and then HC2H3O2 is acetic acid. The formula can also be written this way. Acetic acid is what gives vinegar its tang or its taste. This is the ingredient in vinegar that makes it vinegar. Okay. For a PDF transcript of this lecture, go to www.richardlouis.com. This has been Chemistry Lecture number 38, Naming Covalent Compounds.